Today is June 14th, 2016, back with the midday watch list update for stocks to trade. A lot of big movers again today, but we've kind of seen a little bit of a shift in the price action. So when I mentioned a kind of a shift in the price action, I'll start with one of the main watches, LBIX. Okay, this was, let me jump back a little bit here, huge ripper this morning on basically an earnings winner. You can dig into the earnings more yourself.
It's 2 o'clock.
Whenever a stock rips up on an earnings announcement, whether or not you perceive them as positive, you got to consider an earnings winner because the price action is reflecting that they are positive earnings. So now what we've seen in the past few weeks is you can get these big moves, kind of wait for a pullback, and then if you miss that first move, which it can be tough to catch that first big candle, but in the past couple weeks we've been able to kind of grab these on the pullback and then get a continuation of the move. Now LBIX really ripped, failed. It's gone sideways this afternoon, but really just not very, no real indication of a trade either way. And unless it's 2 o'clock right now, unless it can get some momentum into the close, it's probably primed for a breakdown. So that is the difference. And the difference is we've had these low float stocks. You can see it's a 2 million float that have ripped up on news, and they just continued all day. You can see LBIX had one 5-minute candle, and since then has been pretty much sideways to trending down at this point. So the other one we went over yesterday, we discussed a potential continuation of the move if the press releases, if the hype stuck around. Now you can see that when that doesn't happen, when you don't get press releases, when you don't get more volume, you can see the no volume this morning compared to yesterday. Once that happens, you need to get out. If you're buying this yesterday afternoon, big volume, big move, if you're buying that in anticipation of a continued move, if you do not see press releases, if you do not see volume, if these positive catalysts aren't happening, you need to get out, because you can see now, if you got out when there was no volume and no news, you could have sold in the 130s, and now we're at $1 and it's trending down. Could crack and get really ugly into the close here. So even though we discussed this being a solid long yesterday, it's only a solid long if the catalysts line up, and they didn't on DRAM. EXAS was a really, in my opinion, let me jump back a little bit. In my opinion, there was never really a long opportunity in this because it just happened so quickly. I mean, you can see that in basically in minutes, this went from 7, maybe almost an hour. It went from 7 to 9, and then so it's tough to buy that. I mean that's just so fast. You really got to be. You really have to have this ticker up and watching it. It's almost impossible to not chase and end up on the wrong side of this unless you're, for some reason, watching EXAS. Now, on the flip side, you can look for this to set a top, crack back under a whole dollar amount at 9, and then it's a solid short selling opportunity. We've got a little bit of a weak kind of push right now, but fading volume. A good chance this continues to crack into the close. Markets are a little sketchy today. So those are the 4 most interesting of the day. So, again, it's kind of, you see the chart. EXAS was kind of a little later, but it almost looks like it could do kind of the same thing as LBIX did today. Big rip and fade. So the big thing to learn from this is be very cautious in the coming days, chasing these low float stocks. It has worked for the last couple weeks, but it looks like it may not work any longer. So we'll see you tomorrow.